Welcome back to TYT Sports and RotoWire, joined by RotoWire's own Chris Liss for some beating the book in NFL previews. We're going to start. We're a little bit late to it this year. Week 3 coming up around the corner. We're excited after, as your Week 2 observations off RotoWire.com pointed out, maybe the worst suicide survivor pool week in NFL history. After last week's, you can go through all the teams if you needed to, but anybody who was in a pool is probably out of a pool at this point.
It was bad. I mean, it was going to be great. I mean, I faded the Saints. I was excited. Ravens come back from their 10-point deficit. I talked to Dan about this before this,
right?
How just devastating it is. When the good team gets the lead back, they never lose.
Right.
And yet they did to the Raiders and Derek Carr. Whatever. We'll move on. Every week's a new week, and it's good that we're starting Week 3. We got a clean slate.
Well, we have a little bit to work off of because the first 2 weeks of the season are impossible to work off as it is. You think you know so much after Week 1 that it gets turned on its head in Week 2. It's been a strange start to the NFL season anyway, with 9 teams 0-2 and 5 of them who no one thought would be 0-2. The Seahawks, the Colts, the Ravens, all facing important Week 3 games. But let's get into, Chris, your 4 best bets for Week 3 coming up. We know you want to start with. You can go anywhere with this one, but you gave us, who do you get? Let's go with Indy first. I'm curious your thoughts on Indianapolis because they're one of these 0-2 teams.
I was going to start with them. I just think they're going to destroy the Titans. The Titans had that one good blowout win home against the Bucs with Jameis Winston's first game, and everyone thought, oh, Marcus Mariota, this is a thing. And he may be good. He may have a great career. But the Colts, as terrible as they looked, and they are the stupidest team. They are coached worse than, Tom Coughlin is Isaac Newton compared to Chuck Pagano. I mean, that guy, you knew they weren't going to try the onside kick when they got the ball at the 50-yard line. You knew they weren't even going to think about it. Why were they handing the ball off to Frank Gore when they were down 10 and there's tons of time? Anyway, I don't want to go into it. That's the only thing that worries me at all is how stupid the entire management of the Colts is, but I think Andrew Luck is just going to explode. I think Dante Moncrief has arrived. It looked like T.Y. Hilton was healthy enough, and I think they are just going to destroy the Titans, even though it's in Tennessee, and I'm happy to lay the 3.5 points.
Yeah, it's a small point spread for a team's offense that's capable of posting 40-plus points a game. Again, there was interesting points mocked by Colin Cowherd, at least yesterday morning, when it came to Andrew Luck's interceptions. He's aggressive. He's playing downfield. The coaching is terrible, but you can trust Andrew Luck. He's not going to play like this for the rest of the season. It is only after 2 weeks we've seen this. So we move forward with the Colts. I like the Colts bet as well. I'm also taking the Colts. But even more interesting was your point about Frank Gore. No urgency from that coaching. So if they're in a tight game, it's going to get scary, but I don't think it's going to that point. I think we're going to be a blowout anyway.
Yeah, right. I think this is going to be lopsided enough that the coaches won't have a say in it. It's like the refs and the coaches get magnified in close games. In blowouts, it doesn't matter.
Right. Good point. So, Chris, your second best bet of the week.
I really like Philly getting 2.5 against the Jets. This would have been a pick 'em at best, maybe Philly -3 a couple weeks ago. They looked horrendous at home against Dallas. But you remember a couple years ago, they lost 17-3 to Dallas. Nick Foles gets hurt. It looked like Foles wasn't even an NFL quarterback. He was just taking over for Michael Vick. And then the next week, Vick got hurt. Foles comes back 2 weeks later. He throws 7 touchdowns against the Raiders. He ends up with a 29-2 touchdown interception ratio, 9.1 yards per attempt, one of the best quarterback seasons in history, prorated from over 11 games. And it just shows the Eagles and that system, it seems like it's so volatile. When it's not working, it looks terrible, but they can turn on a dime. And I think the Jets' D is tough, and this is not a great matchup for the Eagles, but I just think them getting points against the Jets team that you want to sell high off a big win, I think it's a great buy low, sell high situation. I'm taking the Eagles to win outright.
That's a good point as well, just because the sell high, buy low mentality seems to work when it comes to picking against the spread. And with a team like, or in this case, you're picking for the spread, but when a team like the Eagles, who even have more defensive struggles technically going into this week, because Kiki Alonso, who re-injured a knee tendon from last year, same thing, he's going to be out. You think just offensively they're going to be able to fly past the Jets?
Well, I think the Jets' D is legit, and it's not a great matchup, but I just think that the recency bias is so strong. Yeah. You see something last week, you think, whoa, the Jets may be pretty good. Right. Oh, the Eagles are horrible. And sometimes that's true, but I think usually it's just you're catching a team at their worst, you're catching another team at its best. Short week, Jets on a big emotional win. I just think this is a time to buy the Eagles in a good spot, a desperate animal, getting points. I think they win this game.
I know you're not a huge fan of Sam Bradford, so I can't imagine how many times we're going to be buying into
I hate
Eagles.
Sam Bradford,
Right.
but I actually think he's a good buy low.
Hate's such a
also.
strong word, Chris. You don't have to
He was the #1 overall pick, and I just think that like people have been making excuses for him for a long time. But remember, even Sanchez, Nick Foles, they've all produced in this offense. I think it's a good spot for us.
Very good point. So that was the second best bet of the week. Third best bet, we move forward and we continue. So I think Atlanta was another one that you liked this week, Chris?
They're my fourth best. Actually, my second best we haven't gone to yet. I just said the Eagles. My second best is really the Arizona Cardinals at home, laying 6 against the Niners. The Niners' defense looked really poor against Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh has a good offense, but Arizona's offense is good. And Carson Palmer's in a groove. And they've got, Larry Fitzgerald looks rejuvenated. I wouldn't bank on him ever scoring 3 touchdowns again in his career, but he's certainly not, over the cliff. John Brown is explosive. Michael Floyd one day will show his face, hopefully.
He's got 4 targets on the year.
They're not looking at him, but he's a big size, speed guy. And I think the Arizona defense especially is going to crush the Niners. Carlos Hyde's banged up, so I really like Arizona at home, which is a very tough place to play, lay in the wood.
There's a few things you can always bank on with Arizona. One, Bruce Arians is a great coach, and great is a word that gets thrown on a little bit too much, but you can tell just defensively minded, even without Todd Bowles this year, you can still see that that team is strong defensively. You mentioned at home. I like the fact that you mentioned Michael Floyd might show his face this year, might not. He's still riding the free agent waiver wires in most leagues, but in addition to that, Larry Fitzgerald, 3 touchdowns from last week. Yes, he's also creeping up into the top 10 all-time leaders in touchdown receptions, just from longevity, just from being in the league for so long.
Well, he was elite, at his peak.
For a
about 5-6 years.
4-year, 5-year period.
And in the playoffs, he had one of the greatest receiver playoff runs ever. That year, they probably should have beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl.
And then I guess I also wanted to add to that, Carson Palmer, again, continues to prove that when healthy, he's like what everyone thinks Sam Bradford is.
Well, he was a #1 overall pick also.
Right, but when healthy, Carson Palmer is able to throw the ball downfield. He can also run what I keep seeing in the NFL and keep calling the almost like the Mike D'Antoni 7-second or less offense, the NFL 7-yard or less passing offense, which Tom Brady seems to be perfecting as it is. But that seems to me what everyone wants Sam Bradford to be is what already exists in Carson Palmer.
Well, Palmer actually is second to, I can't remember who is first, in yards per pass thrown. So in other words, he's throwing the ball down the field. And you look at Alex Smith and Brady and this dink and dunk stuff that's taken over the NFL. It's disgusting. It's unwatchable. Palmer will sling it. And I think between them and the defense, I just like them laying 6. I think they're gonna win by double digits.
Yeah, and also I don't like the Cowboys, so I like that bet. And lastly, this isn't your 4th best bet. You said
it is my 4th.
This
bet.
Is your 4th best bet. I apologize.
It's Atlanta. I don't know what happened with Dallas and Philly last week. I can't really explain it. But Romo and Des Bryant, that is just too much to overcome. And Atlanta's not great, but they have a good quarterback. They have a all-world receiver. Their D is playing a little bit better this year. They have the guy from the Seahawks that came over to take over the coordinator duties, which seems to have helped a little bit. And I just think. That smoke and mirrors thing Dallas is doing, it runs out this week.
Right.
And it's only a point they're laying. I think they just beat Dallas fairly easily without Romo. Brandon Whedon's probably going to be starting. So, Matt Castle, Brandon Whedon. So
was it Brandon Whedon? Was that Jerry Jones said as an elite quarterback or maybe one of the most brilliant NFL minds in the game?
I don't know. He's trying to psych him up or something, make him feel good.
He's good at spinning the PR at least. A few interesting things about the Cowboys. One, Jason Witten, who's played in a remarkable 100-something straight games, might not be playing. So even on top of that.
Looks like he improved today in practice.
He improved today? Okay.
And he will play because
he's needed.
Yeah, and he's also just a dude who doesn't miss games unless it's, unless he were to, and he just doesn't. He had like a spleen removed and played the next week.
He's the Cal Ripken Jr. of the NFL, you can say.
Yeah.
And
but it's football, Cal Ripken Jr. is soft. This is football.
Whoa. It's 26-32. That's a big number.
The last 500 were like totally useless. He was like playing out the string.
Still got to go out every single day.
He was harming the team at that point.
That's like Derek Jeter harming the team.
He was. He was terrible.
It's total BS.
He was horrible.
Total BS.
You should have retired a year earlier.
I did want to correct one thing on that screenshot we had of ESPN Pick Center. It does say Des Bryant day to day. It's more like year to year for Des Bryant.
He's 8 weeks out for 8 weeks.
For 8 weeks. So, yes, the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Dallas, the smoke and mirrors thing, I agree with that as well. I'm also biased because I really don't like the Cowboys. The only other picks that we differ from going into this week is Team TYT Sports likes Kansas City. And for 2 big reasons. One, the Green Bay Packers are injury-riddled. And I don't like betting against Aaron Rodgers because he continues to prove he's the best quarterback in the league. But Kansas City has a very strong defense. Justin Houston is not messing around. He gets a sack every game or two. Their front line is strong, their defensive line. It's going to make it tough for James Starks if Eddie Lacy doesn't start or doesn't get enough touches because of his injury he suffered against the Seahawks last week. But when you look at Kansas City's offense, it's not like, and Alex Smith is one of those conservative quarterbacks, and that's not, it's not ballsy. He's not going to throw the ball downfield too much, but Travis Kelce has emerged as a legitimate tight end weapon. It might be one of the top 3 tight ends in the league so far, if not by the end of the year. I have that much faith in him. Jamal Charles is one of the deadliest running backs in the open field. We can go to Jeremy Maclin was picked up. They have an offense that is threatening enough. The other reason, 6.5 points is not 7 or 7.5, and extra points are getting shanked. More so than ever before because they moved it back. So I do think Green Bay wins, but I don't think they win by more than 6.5 points.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence. It's not one of my strong leans either way, but I like Aaron Rodgers at home. Typically, he's got like the most ridiculous, I think it's like 50-2 touchdown interception ratio at home.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs defense can be exploited. You saw Peyton drive down the field on them in their own building last week. And Alex Smith, I just don't think he gets the ball down the field. And I think if the Packers do score, they're not a team that can come from behind. So I'm probably taking the Packers, but I'm not strong on that. So I hope for your sake the Chiefs cover.
For my sake,
I'm not putting anything down.
For Team TYT Sports, we'll take that shot. In addition to that, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get Le'Veon Bell back. D'Angelo Williams has already proven that even if he gets some touches in the lineup, he's second in the league in rushing right now. And Le'Veon Bell said it would be smart for them to still use him in that offense. I'm using the example, and this might be part of the recency bias that we probably should be avoiding, but the good Patriots offense faced the strong Bills defense last week, and the Patriots posted 40 points on them. The Steelers have that similar, insanely threatening offense with Le'Veon Bell back. With Martavis Bryant is not back, right?
No, not for another week. Couple weeks.
Antonio Brown's unstoppable.
Yep.
Absolutely cannot be guarded, cannot be touched. 9 receptions for 200 yards last week. He's going to do similar things this week against the St. Louis Rams. I think the Steelers post way more than enough to cover a 1.5 point spread. If not, that could be a 10-point win, if not more.
Yeah, again, I'm not strong on this, but I like the Rams at home. They beat up on Seattle at home. They beat Denver. They throttled them last year at home. This is not going to be a nice environment. This isn't playing at home against the soft 49ers D. This is going to be a whole different experience. And maybe the Steelers offense lights them up, but we'll see. I think the Steelers D is pretty bad. I think the Rams are going to win.
I'm putting my faith in Big Ben, which is something I haven't done too much in the NFL over the past few years. Regardless, there you have the 4 best bets from Chris Listen, RotoWire, and TYT Sports for this upcoming NFL Week 3. Make sure to leave all your comments in the comment section below. What are your best bets? Any questions? We'll answer them down in the comment section as well. Like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you next week.